action. I love it when you're flexing the muscles in your body, your complexion, reflection shines like summertime. Brown skin, shades of autumn, nice strong arms, man. I gotta talk about them. Forever lost in your embrace, a place that's pleasant. Your beauty is of the essence.
KBLA Talk 1580. You better recognize she's an artist. She's an entrepreneur. She is a podcast. She's a cultural warrior. I'm talking about the Poetess. Good morning, friends.
What's up, twin?
Girl, I know. Once again, we proved to the world that we are two separate individuals.
Yes.
People always calling me the Poetess, and people calling
vice versa.
Poetess Dominique DiPrima.
Yeah.
We go way back, but we've never been one. We've been girls, but we've never been one.
Right. We're two. But you know what? We kind of run parallel, though. You know, radio, community activism, light skin. No.
Right. Outspoken. But that was Poetess rapping, in case you don't know. Now you know.
Yeah, that was from my 1992 album, Simply
Poetry,
which is now available digitally. So if you missed out, then you can check it out now.
Yeah, Spotify, that bad girl.
Right.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to talk about podcasting, the art of podcasting, but we are tracking these fires. Of course, Poetess, you've done many an hour on a microphone, and so I'm glad you're my guest today because I know you can flow with this conversation between entertainment and news and doing our job to serve the community.
Yeah. I live about 13 miles from Palisades, and I was in the house all day yesterday, so I didn't have an idea of what was going on outside, but I walked out this morning, and oh my goodness, like a big plume of smoke just over my apartment, and I as you see, I brought a mask in today because the air quality is terrible out there. So I would say wear a mask. I'm assuming that will help because the air quality is terrible.
Yeah.
And we're like inland.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, my eyes were watering just coming from the car to the radio station. Our KBLA contributor, he's also a writer for the LA Progressive, and he has his own podcast, Poetess, called The Conversation Live.
All right.
James Farr. James, good morning. How are you? How is the family? I know you guys had to evacuate last night.
Good morning, Dominique. Good morning, Poetess. We're fine. We're fine. We're a little rattled by the police coming through the neighborhood on a PA system, yelling outside of my house to leave. Now that was a little disarming, but yeah, we're good.
And but you listened. You heeded them. I know you don't always listen to the police, but in this case, you guys evacuated immediately.
My mom and daddy didn't raise no dummy, so they said it was time to go. We had probably not less than 20 or 30 minutes before that started packing bags. Neighbors came by, daughter's friends called, and we just grabbed, some important things, and went to try to find a hotel, got to the hotel, and the power was out there, and so we eventually found our way to a family's house down in Orange County.
Oh, yeah, you went way over to the safe zone. I was looking at the map, because they say have a plan. If you have to leave, where are you going? And I'm looking 405 South. I don't see any fires down there.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good, right? But then the reality hits. You have a dog. Where 4 people gonna go? Those kind of things really start to happen. But we're fortunate that we did have family that we can go to. That if need be a hotel, we did have the resources for that. And I'm not sure everyone else will fare as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what worries me with folks that, don't have the resources. There are shelters set up throughout the burn areas. That's why I had suggested getting on one of these apps like Notify LA, because they can help you track where you could go, or Watch Duty, which is another app run by a nonprofit that has shelters and pet shelters as well. Knowing you, James, you're writing a story about it.
Right now, I am collecting my nerves. Right, I didn't sleep too well because when you think about it, we don't necessarily live in fire country. I mean, although the foothill, the mountain is less than a half a mile. Eaton Canyon is our backyard. But as the kept hearing the sirens and the smoke kept getting thicker and thicker, and I'm like, I think we're gonna be okay. We're not that close. But then shortly thereafter, it's a lot.
Of course, James is out of Pasadena, so that's close to the Eaton fire. There's 3 big ones raging right now: Eaton, Sylmar, and the Palisades. And so, do you have a sense of? Are they telling you when you might be able to get back in, or what kind of damage you can expect, if any, in your area?
The answer is no, we don't know yet, and we are prayerful and optimistic that there is no damage in our neighborhood and to our home. But if you've been watching the news, I mean, that area that is burning, I mean, I know people that live directly in those impacted communities a little further up the hill.
Yeah. Well, Poetess, did you want to? I don't want to hog up the whole mic. Poetess is here with me.
No, I often wonder, like, what would be the first thing I grab if there is a situation where you have to evacuate. Like, I know they say have all your medicines and all of your prescriptions and things and papers, important papers like that, but how do you prepare, like, if you have things that are family heirlooms that you can't replace? Like, how do you protect those things?
Yeah, what did you take, James, and how did you decide?
I grabbed some clothes for a couple of days, some electronics. Had to have my laptop and other electronics, and that's it. My wife grabbed, she said, a folder of some things. Most of the things are backed up digitally, like important documents. But I think in the moment, there wasn't a thought about material things. When police came through on that PA system saying, leave now, I was like, say less, I'm out. Tell me twice.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad that you and your family are safe and that you heeded the advice, because to me, it's just not worth the risk. And I think James made a great point. If you're thinking you might have to leave, or even if you don't, it's good to take pictures of everything, scan it, your ID, your insurance paperwork. Remember with Katrina, part of the problem was folks didn't have their insurance paperwork, so it took forever to get payouts to replace their houses and cars. And of course your medicines, your IDs, pictures of those.
Yeah. Because you can't just go to the pharmacy and say, hey, you probably have to go through a process again with doctors and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, I know you talk about it often, Dominic, being prepared, and you think we all would have learned from the earthquake in San Francisco many years ago, and here in LA. I think today, certainly yesterday, we take that warning a little bit more serious because you just never think it can happen to you, right? Or that you could be that close. So, folks, take that time to make that extra planning and precaution and have those things, because anything could happen at any time, and you'd rather be caught with than without.
Yeah, it's well said. Well, James, keep us updated on what's happening with you and the family, and if you need anything, your KBLA family got you. We got chips and soda, all kinds of useless stuff over here. We can be of service.
Yeah, the kids would love it. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, and of course, send my best to your wife and children.
Absolutely. Thank you guys in KBA delegation, and y'all be safe out there.
Thank you.
you.
Indeed, we will. We set out today to talk about podcasts. That was the plan. We've got the queen of podcasts. Well, she's got a lot of crowns, but that's one of them. Morris Media Studios is her business. And one of the things they do is help you get it together if you want a podcast. Everybody's a doggone podcaster right now. We're going to talk about the ups, the downs, and the how-tos when we come forward as we continue to track this catastrophic natural disaster in real time. All that only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has a program specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to resolve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that 3 out of 4 adults in the United States have a high risk factor for severe COVID-19. And black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
When we moved to the States, I kind of had no cultural identity. Smoking was sort of synonymous with being cool. That is just not a life I want to show my daughter. I don't want her to be controlled the way that I was, but she's not interested. She doesn't associate smoking with being cool.
Californians are beating big tobacco. You can too. For free support, text KICK Nicotine to 66819 today.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
We absolutely do appreciate you as we continue to track in real time these 3 fires burning around LA. You would think it was right here with all the smoke.
Yes.
Me and Poetess got our eyes watering. She got her mask. I have mine too in my bag.
You got to see the sun. The sun looked crazy driving here. Like, it was like a haze of smoke, but it's bright orange.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's very apocalyptic. Not saying it's the apocalypse. I'm just saying it looks that way.
It looks weird.
If you can stay at home, stay at home.
Right.
And if you can limit your physical activity, as the fire chief said, do that. We set out to talk about podcasts, and doggone it, we're going to do it. Everybody's a podcaster now. I think,
yes.
Royalty, celebrities, sports figures. When we started out in radio, it was just you were competing with radio personalities.
Right.
And then after a while, we had some musicians, the Brian McKnights or whatever, that decided they want to do radio. Now, everybody got a podcast. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Everybody want my job.
It just depends, like what your mission is as a podcaster. I always tell clients to know their lane You can't be everything to everybody. And you should also explore why you're doing a podcast. Is it to earn money? Is it to help people? Is it to further a cause? Is it to promote your brand? Like, you have to figure out why you're doing a podcast, for the simple fact that it is time consuming and it can cost money to do it. But it's a production just like anything else. It's a production like a radio show. It's a production like a television show. So you kind of have to look at it that way if you're trying to do a professional podcast and take it to the next level.
Yeah, I think that's right. There's a lot of different levels to it. You see people who are super amateur, and then you see the Club Shay Shay, where it looks like a whole.
And he's an amateur.
Why do you say that?
Because his interviewing style, you know. So he may have all the
bells and whistles,
but he's still green. He still
Yeah.
has a lot to grow as an interviewer, in my opinion.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just interesting. That's why I say everybody's coming for our job, Poetess. It's like, we've been doing this for a while. We respect the craft of broadcasting, and I'm not trying to be an elitist. Do your podcast, do your dance. It's all good.
But I always say, they may have the recipe, but it won't taste the same. You know, they may have the recipe, but do they know how to cook it up like we do? So.
And then on the flip side of that, you've got people like myself and others who are veterans of this industry that do podcasts that flop.
Yeah. Like I said, when you are podcasting, figure out, first of all, who your audience is, who you're targeting. You can't be everything to everyone. Know your lane, know your niche. And marketing plays a very important role when you're podcasting. You can't just record a podcast and post it and say, hey, that's it, and expect people to find you.
To magically listen, yeah.
Right. You have to promote it just like any other thing, you know, anywhere from grassroots promotions, meaning flyers, merch, to digitally, email blast, digital marketing, paying for ads on social media. So it just takes more than just posting. And on top of that, it has to be good and interesting. When you are doing a podcast, you have to ask yourself, who am I doing this podcast for? And then you create your content around who that is, you know? So you kind of gotta like narrow it down to what your space is in that lane. Yes, there's thousands of podcasts out there, but somehow you have to make yours stand out. And that could be, you know, having a niche, you know?
Yeah. It seems like almost all of the podcasts now are going to audio and video. It's not just audio anymore. Is that true?
Yes. I think video, a lot of people like to watch even though you're just sitting there talking. And it's also another avenue for you to monetize your content as well, is if you're audio and video, monetizing on video platforms like YouTube and other platforms, as well as the audio aspect of it. So you give people a variety, you give people a choice whether they want to watch you or listen to you while they're driving in their cars.
Yeah. So if people want to do, I mean, obviously if they want to do a podcast, they could go to morrismediastudios.com. You teach classes, you teach people how to do it, and you actually will produce the whole thing for them, right?
Yes, we are located in Leimert Park, right across the street, actually, well, catty-corner to KBLA. And what sets us aside from other studios is we actually walk you through the process. We don't just rent you the space and say, hey, do your podcast, record your podcast, unless you want that. You know, some people say, I just want to record. I don't need all that. But we are a full service podcast studio. We get you from concept to recording. We also edit. We help you set up your platforms. We also do audio books and voiceover. So we're full service. We care about our clients. We try to help them get, accomplish their podcast goals, whatever those are. You should have them instead of saying, oh, I want to do a podcast. It's not that simple. It looks simple. I remember when we were on the air back in the day, a lot of people thought you just come in and you just sit down and talk. But no, it's a production. I've seen celebrities come in trying to, their personality, and then they sit there and they freeze. It's not that easy.
Yeah, well, the idea, I think the key is to make it look easy, right?
Yes.
And so I always say that there are some things that are harder than they look. I think being president is probably one of those.
Yes.
Radio is definitely one of those. Acting. Everyone thinks they can do it, and then they get up there and they're horrible. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's an art to it, and I always say that respect the mic, respect the field, but because of the rise of YouTube and TikTok, mm-hmm. there's much more homemade stuff going on, and people appreciate that homemade stuff. So I think for me, my question is, how do you get the professionals to be able to thrive in the podcast space, and how do you get the podcasters to garner some of the skills? And it's funny because my son, I was doing some content one day for YouTube, and my son said, "You sound like a newscaster, Mama. No one wants to hear that. You sound too formal."
Yeah, well, again, it's personal preference. There's nothing wrong with doing it at home, as long as you sound good and look good, and you're not over modulating or distortion and all that. It's fine wherever you do it, but just make sure that it looks quality, and it's not hard for people to listen to or watch. Professionals, the same thing, just kind of know who your audience is, and you cater to that,
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, let's do, if you want to do a podcast, which a lot of our delegation do, mm-hmm. you can call if you got a question, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. I'm always telling Poetess, I want to do a podcast. Aside from
think you should.
Our daily YouTube podcast that we do live stream on KBLA.
Get raw and uncut. Dominique DiPrima.
So that's what. And Miles is back there shaking his head because Miles always telling me to do a podcast too.
And that's the beauty of a podcast, is you are free to be yourself and talk about the things that you have passion about. So. A podcast is open for mostly anyone who wants to do it. Again, it's like, what is your goal in doing one? Because again, it takes time to prepare it, to edit, to post, to promote it. So you want to make sure that you're doing it correctly.
All right. So what do I start? Give me your pointers. For me, you know me, we're both radio professionals, but you are an expert in the podcast space, and I do not pretend to be such.
Well, to me, podcasting is internet radio. So you pretty much have a head start, because even when I'm consulting or teaching podcasting class, I always come from a radio perspective, because basically podcasts are internet radio shows. So you're halfway there in terms of how to carry a conversation. You just
want to hear me cussing and carrying on like I do when we're in my backyard having a drink. Right. That's what you want.
I want that Dominique on a podcast,
which is very different, Dominique. Yeah. I mean, it's the same person.
Not too much, but yes.
So, we only have a minute here before news, traffic, and sports, so we'll continue on the other side. But what are your top ones to listen to?
The number one podcast I listen to is the one that I produce, and it's called In a Man's World. So please look for that. It's a comedy podcast with 4 comedians, and I'm sort of the producer in the background. And it's with Louis Dix, Jeff Arnold, TDP, and comedian Speedy. It is hilarious. We've been having the same following since we were all on the Foxhole with Jamie Foxx. And so we have a beautiful, loyal fan base, and we want to welcome new listeners to the show.
Yeah, and we can find that if we go to
Morris Media Studios on YouTube.
Yeah. You must be thrilled for Jamie Foxx with his successful special and his comeback from that terrible scare.
Right, I really, really am. I've been friends with Jamie for over 30 years, and I've had the privilege of working with him on the Foxhole as a producer, and he is just a wonderful person, and I'm just so glad that he's fully, recovered from his medical issue.
Yeah. News, traffic, and sports, then more with the Poetess, more updates, more you, all that straight ahead on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. San Francisco reports its lowest crime rate in over 2 decades. Outgoing Mayor London Breed says property crime is down 31% and violent crime is down 14% from last year. The FBI uncovered more alleged criminal conduct by New York City Mayor Eric Adams, but details are scarce. Adams, who pleaded not guilty to corruption charges, insists he's done nothing wrong. His attorney called the new allegations amateur hour. Memphis, Tennessee city leaders, community members, and Tyree Nichols' family marked the 2nd anniversary of his death with a march and candlelight vigil. An investigation found Memphis police often use excessive force and discriminated against Black people. And Meghan Markle announced on Instagram that her dog, Guy the Beagle, has passed away. She adopted him from Canada in 2015 and thanked him for years of unconditional love. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Del Taco's new Chipotle Chicken Burrito and Bean Rice and Cheese Burrito, packed with flavor, made with fresh ingredients, and found on Del's Real Deals menu. You heard that right. These burritos on a value meal with everything under $3. Look at Del Taco, hooking us up.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There was a time Los Angeles did not have an NFL franchise. Now the city has 2 teams in the NFL playoffs. For 22 years, between 1994 and 2016, the NFL went about its business without a team in LA. The Raiders moved back to Oakland and the Rams went to St. Louis. The Rams came back to LA in 2016. The Chargers left San Diego for LA in 2017. Since the Rams and Chargers have been in LA, the city has had 2 NFL teams in the same playoffs twice. The Rams and Chargers made the playoffs in 2018 and this year. New York and LA, the only cities with 2 NFL franchises, have never had their teams face each other in a Super Bowl. Even if the Rams and Chargers don't make it to the Super Bowl this year, the NFL is fully aware that the LA market is still strong. LA will never go 22 years again without an NFL team. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Somebody's been praying for me.
Thanks to the generous support of the KBLA Talk 1580 delegation, we were able to donate 545 pounds of coats and blankets to the LA Mission this winter season.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
The LA Mission expressed its deep gratitude for our gift all over social media, but we wish to thank them and all the other service providers who look out daily for the less fortunate in our community, finding our happy by being helpful.
Hallelujah.
We're KBLA Talk 1580. Where we do more than just talk.
Somebody's been praying for me.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Oh, this new dose is... nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do...
Let's play something, Grandma.
...became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Poetess over here going down memory lane, and actually we weren't even really going down memory lane. We were making money moves over here in the studio, talking about next. Actually, we were looking more forward than back.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, everybody want a podcast. Everybody got a podcast. Before we move on to how to make money on your podcast, you said we need to check out In a Man's World podcast, which is available at Morris Media Studios.
We're on Spotify and iHeart as well.
What else? Do you like Joe Rogan? You said Club Shay Shay. I think that's one of the most popular ones.
I really, to be honest with you, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts.
Okay.
I'm always working on the stuff that's in front of me, really.
Right.
And we help people produce their podcasts.
Yes.
Podcasts.
That too.
But I focus on that one, and that one to me is funny and entertaining. And then there's some that if there's specific information I'm looking for, I produce a doctor by the name of Dr. Scott McMahon. He talks a lot about, what do you call it, CIRS, which is chronic inflammatory response syndrome. And a lot of good information just based on the podcast that I'm involved with, you know. And his is called Medicine and Miracles, if you want to look that one up. But I don't, to be honest with you, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts.
Okay, so it seems like everyone has one. They're always pulling them out in news clips. They're always going viral with. I feel like it's hard for a regular person or small business to compete with all these big names. Right? Movie stars and athletes, you know, that Travis Kelce got a podcast. So how do we monetize and how do we get people on board?
Okay, there's several ways that you can monetize your podcast. Monetizing meaning making money from doing the podcast. Simple ways are, if you have friends that have books, that have products, ask them to do a little commercial on your podcast. It could be just $25 or whatever, but everything is going to offset your costs no matter what amount they pay you. The other way is affiliate marketing, which if you get with, let's say, Amazon, for example, they have affiliate programs where you can sell products and you get a commission. The other way is a lot of these platforms, they pay you depending on how many followers or listeners you have to put ads on your content. So those are a couple of ways. And then again, sponsorship. And you don't necessarily have to have a major following to start getting sponsorship. You can sell someone on what your cause is. So if you are doing a health and wellness podcasts say, I'm trying to further my cause in helping, mental illness, for example. So can you help me on that mission by sponsoring the podcast?
So if it's in alignment with their mission, they may be more apt to want to feature
Right.
that content and therefore sponsor
Right.
it.
But also focus on building your numbers, building your audiences, promoting your podcast on social media. Sometimes you have to, boost your post by putting a couple of dollars on it, but email blast, just try ways to build your audience.
Poetess is busy right now. Don't be calling her when she's on my show.
And so, so just focus on building your audience, even if it's one listener at a time. And there's ways to do that. Word of mouth, again, consistent posting. That's the other thing. Be consistent. If you decide that you're going to start a podcast, don't just do one episode and see what it does. Plan to do several. To keep it consistent.
I'm laughing because it seems like everybody says that, and I'm mad at myself because it's hard to be consistent. Like, not just posting every day, but, posting on all platforms every day. And so when you talk about podcasting, one of the things that I've heard from many experts is that you're more likely to build if you do not just consistently, but at the same time and date, like every Monday at 2 or something like that.
Exactly. You do a program schedule. So say it is every Tuesday at 2. Your listeners will be conditioned to know that every Tuesday at 2, there's going to be a new episode of your podcast. If they have to guess when you're going to drop another episode, then you're more than likely going to lose that listener.
Yoda says in the chat, watching a new podcaster is like watching a newborn baby take its first steps. And Molly Bell's making fun of me. She says, are you able to see me? Yesterday we had cleaned up the clutter just for me. Now the poetess. Please don't go into my life any deeper. Sorry about that, Molly Bell. But
Molly has been to the studio. Shout out to you. She's taken one of our classes, and we're here whenever you're ready to rock and roll. Ms.
She was
Bell.
over here complaining, confessing, I would say, that she has yet to do her podcast, and that some others also took the class at the same time she did.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because it can seem a bit overwhelming.
It is overwhelming, yeah.
But we're here to walk you through it. Our motto is we make podcasting easy. All you have to do is come in and be prepared to do your podcast. We'll walk you through everything else because it is a lot. But if it's something that you really want to do, you just set up your system of doing it.
A lot of small businesses have podcasts. A lot of individuals tell me they want to podcast, as I keep complaining, celebs. But who does it make sense for? Because if you don't have the marketing expertise and you don't have a huge following, what's the point of doing a podcast if no one's going to see it?
Well, you want to, again, figure out who your target audience is.
Right.
If you are into selling golf shoes, you go to people who golf. Like, you find that audience. You don't just put it out willy-nilly. You be specific in what you're talking about, your aim is, and you grab that audience wherever you can grab them in Facebook groups, conventions, conferences. I mean, you have to do work. It's not as easy. Some people are lucky. They just put it out and boom, it does well.
Or they're rich or they're already famous. I mean, a lot of times it's that.
But if you have a purpose for doing one, that's the main thing. Whether that's to inform people, educate them on a cause, entertain them, and make a difference in their lives, there's always a good reason to do one.
So it sounds like that's where you start. It's with your why.
Why, exactly.
You start with your why, then you go to your who, then you go to morrismediastudios.com and you get to the how.
And you can email me directly at contact@morrismediastudios.com. If you have any questions, you can go to our website. We have our pricing and all the services that we do there. And hit us up. We'll get you on your way.
And, another thing that I thought about, I don't do it, I'm going to say yet, but that I thought about is if you did do some amazing podcast for your small business or your entertainment venture or your political aspirations, and you don't have a following and no one saw it, you could then cut that up and create small content bits for your other platforms.
Yeah, I recommend that. If you have a long form podcast, get the highlights of it, 60 seconds of the best parts of it, and put it out there because that draws people into the long form. And you don't have to be a celebrity and all that to be a podcaster. Just have a reason, a purpose for doing one.
And make it a doggone good reason, okay? Urban Birds and Bees is in the chat. That's Carrie Neal. He says to ask, how much can one expect to invest to become a podcaster and what your fee structure is?
How much one can expect?
Yeah, like how much are we talking about?
It just depends. Like
raising.
If you're the variables are, if you're doing it at home, you're not paying studio time. If you know how to edit your own content, then you're not paying an editor. You kind of figure out what your budget is. It's flexible. It's not something that's just a flat rate and then you're doing all this.
Right. It depends what you want to do. If you're trying to do
how far you want to go.
If you're trying to
with
do
it.
Black Panther, that's going to be a little bit
more
more
if you set up
expensive.
at home, get a good mic. They have some good kits out there now. If you're going to a studio, you just figure out what you're getting for your money. Like I said, we offer a lot and we're pretty reasonable. Compared to more studios, we give, I think, more added value to our dollar.
Well, the other thing that we were talking about too is that for people who want to set up a home studio, you now do consulting to help them get the right gear, set it up right, figure out how to make it work for them.
Yeah, we do remotes too. So if you want to do a podcast at a location or event you're hosting, we set up remote podcasts, and we also consult in building small home studios, not the big gigantic studios yet, but we're doing we can help you set up your home studio as well.
Your daddy Johnny would be so proud of you doing all that. Her dad is a world famous Johnny Morris, world famous engineer.
Yep, and he's the reason why I'm doing it. You know, I grew up following him in radio, and rest in peace, he actually helped us build the studio across the street, and it is still up and running. And
when she says across the street, she means across the street from KBLA, because that's where Morris Media Studios is.
And we've been in business 10 years. We just celebrated our 10th anniversary, and that has not been an easy feat, but we made it.
Most small businesses don't make it past 2 or 3, and I was honored to be at that ginormous party that you had.
Thank you.
Jerry Anderson says the what comes after the why and before the how. Have something interesting. Great point. We're talking with the Poetess. If you have more questions or commentary, jump in the chat. It's KBLA 1580 on YouTube, or use the old-fashioned landline at 800-920-1580. Call me, 800-920-1580. Everybody want to be a podcaster, so how do you get it done? Poetess can tell you. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
That was another way. I would smoke once an hour. That didn't work either. All that would happen at some point of the day, I would end up doubling up. Other ways that I tried to quit was I stopped buying cigarettes totally. But if I took 3 puffs off of 15 friends, those didn't count because they weren't my cigarettes and they weren't full cigarettes. I went through a lot.
Every attempt is part of your story to quit for good. Visit Kick It California today at kickitca.org.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Poetess is in the building. We have 3 major fires burning in Los Angeles. Sylmar, the Eaton, which is in the Pasadena, Altadena area, and also Pacific Palisades. There are smaller fires that are being fought throughout the region, and if you want to track them, if you want to get to Notify LA, I would say just type in Notify LA on your search engine. You can also get the app, which I happen to have on my phone, and it will send you notifications of all different kinds of disasters. And then I just got Watch Duty, which is run by a nonprofit, and actually has a comprehensive map of the different fires and the evacuations and such as that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the wind is crazy right now too, and doesn't make it any better.
Yeah, no, the wind is definitely a factor here, and not expected to die down until at least late this afternoon. Could continue through the week. So that makes it a lot tougher. But big kudos to our firefighters. I mean, the fact that they were able to so quickly put out that King fire in, near the Inglewood oil field there on Fairfax and La Cienega, and some of these other small fires immediately, the Hollywood Hills and others, just immediately stomped out. The Frontera fire, just boom. Our firefighters are incredible in LA County and the city, and just in so experienced that they help
and
others.
That Palisades fire spread pretty fast. First you heard a little bit brush fire, and then all of a sudden the whole city is burning down.
Well, I think it's part.
And I'm in Palisades all the time.
Really?
Like, and I used to go to SRF up there, which is a meditation temple, and it's sad to see that it's reached the charter school there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, you've got a lot more brush and sort of wilderness in that part of LA.
Mm-hmm.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah, Temesco Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know if it's reached? It's a famous hiking trail.
I'm not sure. It's certainly under the, it's in the area of evacuation alert. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's in the area. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, it's not too far
from
the
evacuations. Yeah. So tracking that, keeping an eye on that for you. And again, this Watch Duty app is quite useful. So, Poetess, we're talking about podcasting, whether your purpose is, news and information like what we're sharing now, or whether it's entertainment or to promote your business. You mentioned several ways to monetize, and I wonder if you could just, or make money off your podcast. And I wonder if you could just reiterate those, because, well, let me just say what you said. Have friends do little ads. Doesn't have to be $1 million.
Yeah. So if you have a friend that sells a product or a book, if they're an author and have a book they're trying to promote, ask them, hey, I'd love to promote, your book. Would you mind sponsoring a segment on my show? And you kind of set what that
right could be
prices.
$25 could be $1 million.
Yeah, it could be $25. It could be whatever. Every little dime counts.
Yeah.
So,
and then you said affiliate marketing. So what does that really mean? It means that somebody is selling a product and you're helping them do it on your podcast?
I set the example like Amazon. You see it a lot on TikTok where they sell the product and the link is in their bio and all of that. So when people click on that customized link to you, every time someone purchases from that link, from your personal link, you get a kickback or a commission or whatnot.
Okay.
And then monetization on the platforms, they put ads on your YouTube videos or your Spotify versions and
from the
stuff like that.
platforms
From the
themselves,
platform,
yeah.
the platform puts the ads on. The other thing is to ask your listeners for donations. It's okay.
Like a Patreon kind of thing.
A Patreon, set up some type of way where they can donate to your show. Like, for example, In a Man's World, they get paid from fans.
Yeah.
So,
I know Amanda Seales does that really successfully too.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to
yeah.
ask your listeners to donate. That is also another way to make money doing a podcast.
Yeah. It's become popular. And then, as you said, old fashioned sponsorship. But I love that you said, you don't have to have zillions of followers, although it would be nice.
Yes. Yeah, just have a reason for doing one and align yourself with people who are also on that mission.
So once you get a podcast and you have to market a podcast, but it has to live somewhere. That's the platform. How do we choose the right platform for our podcast?
I say get your podcast on any as many platforms as you can get them on, but especially the major ones like Spotify, iHeart, YouTube, Apple Music, I believe still does it. So there's a lot of apps out there. And when you go to where you upload your podcast, it typically distributes it to all of those platforms so that you're not doing it one by one. So there's an easy way to do it. Also, make sure that you're sharing the link, telling your friends to listen. You can start there by telling your family members to listen. Also, consistent posting. Whether you're posting weekly, daily, whatever it is, do it consistently. Build it, nurture it, water it, grow it. A lot of it's not going to just blow up overnight. It's a process. Other ways to market is collect email addresses. Send out a link to your email base when you have a new episode. But whenever you're doing a podcast, the main thing I say is when someone taps into you, they want to know what's in it for them. Why am I sitting here listening to you for 30 minutes or 15 minutes? They want to be entertained. They want to be educated or inspired or whatever. So people aren't just going to tap in for their health. Well, maybe.
If it's really for their health.
Right.
If it's going to really help their health. Yeah,
so
it's a good point.
You
What's
have
in
to
it for
think
them? It's
about
not just all about you.
What's in it for the listener.
Right.
Why do people listen to Dominique DiPrima every day? There is something that you do that's important to them. So the same with podcasting. People sit down and listen because they're getting something out of it, whatever that is.
Okay, we got to squeeze in a couple quick questions here. Well, Jerry Anderson says, Johnny Morris out of Lamert Park?
Yes.
Yes, indeed, the one and only. When and where are your classes, your podcast classes?
I don't have any scheduled right now, but I do one-on-one consultations to just walk you through. I do a presentation to show you all the steps you must take before, during, and after your podcast. So it is like a class, but it's sort of one-on-one. But follow us on social media. We do occasionally free classes, so you might want to stay. We're on at Morris Media Studios on Instagram. So follow us there to find out what kind of deals we have going on. And speaking of deals, if you decide you want to do any of our services, I will take 25% off when you say KBLA 1580.
Yay, thank you for that. Well, thank you so much for coming in today, Poetess. It's always great to see you. Tavis Smiley is up next. He's got he's got a nationally syndicated show, and he's got a lot for you this morning. And I'm having a great time just hanging out with my girl, the Poetess. And I really encourage you, one and all, on this Wealth Building Wednesday to patronize her business, morrismediastudios.com. Patronize ours too, by the way, KBLA1580.com. You can find us on all platforms at KBLA1580. And hopefully you already follow me at DiPrima Radio. Like my mama used to say, history is now, and we are making it together. Be safe, be well. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Eric Adams, but details are scarce. Adams, who pleaded not guilty to corruption charges, insists he's done nothing wrong. His attorney called the new allegations amateur hour.